Recently, one of my favorite content creators, Jael of the Village, made bread from my bread book that I sent her as a gift. I was so proud of how her bread came out.
You're watching the Bare Pantry Show.
Let me tell you guys, I was so nervous when she was making the bread because she named the video I made a mistake. And I was praying and hoping that the mistake would not have been about the bread. Because you guys know I vet my recipes really well. And every time you guys buy my book or watch one of my videos, I want your stuff to come out better than mine, alright? So Jael made the bread. I'm like, oh my god, she's gonna make challah bread? Challah bread is difficult. But then I remembered that making the dough itself is not difficult. It's the braiding or the plaiting of the bread. But she did a phenomenal job. I really like Jael. She came up in my feed a couple months ago and I've been hooked on her content because I like the scenery over there in Kenya, Africa. I like her voice
all the time and take them home.
It's calming. I like her personality. She's so humble and so kind, and she really did not need to make a whole video promoting my book, but from her heart she did that, and it means the world to me. You guys go over, my subscribers, please go over to her page and subscribe and tell them that you came from me and share it, okay? Let's get Jael out there. She has like 30,000 right now. Let's get her to 100,000. I want to give a warm welcome to everyone who came over from Jael's channel. We're so happy to have you over here. Navigate and find all the cooking videos, and I'm sure you're gonna find something that you're gonna love to make. And one of these days, guys, I promise you that me and Jael are gonna meet. I don't know where, but we're gonna meet, all right? Now let's get into how we make the hamburger buns. This is one that you're gonna wanna watch because it's kind of difficult when you're adding in the butter, but I promise you if you have patience, it's gonna work, all right? So first of all, let's start with the warm water. We're gonna add 2 ounces of warm water to this bowl. The water is hot enough that I can touch it, but if I leave my finger in it for any great length of time, it's gonna burn me. To this, I'm adding 2 teaspoons of active dry yeast, and I get my yeast from Amazon, and I store it in glass jars, because if you store it in plastic jars, it's gonna go bad on you. But if you store it in glass, it'll last over a year, okay? You saw that I added some sugar from the allotment of sugar. The sugar is only a 1/4 cup. I'm going to grab my spurtle myrtle to give this stuff a stir. So now that the yeast is activating, it needs about 5 to 8 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and crack and beat my egg. The yeast is ready, so let me add the remainder of the sugar and then the egg. I'm going to go ahead and give this a stir before adding the milk. My milk is heated up in the microwave for like 15 seconds, and I'm using lactose-free milk. It's 3.5 ounces. You can use whole milk, but you guys know I want to eat this bread, so I'm doing the lactose-free milk. Just give this all a stir. I'm not going to add any salt because the butter that I'm going to use is salted, but if you're using an unsalted butter, by all means add 1/2 to 1 teaspoon of salt, okay? I'm just going to add my all-purpose flour a little bit at a time. It's 2 cups. I'm going to reserve about a 1/4 cup towards the end of mixing right here because I'm going to need it to knead up the bread. But if I need extra flour, I can always grab some more, okay? When you're going to bake bread, always have extra flour on hand. Don't just buy like the exact amount that you need, because you're going to need more flour to knead up the dough. So I'm just mixing with the spurtle myrtle, and this is one of the things that I'm going to put down below for you to be able to pick up at Amazon, okay? Notice how sticky the dough is, and we haven't added the butter yet, okay? I'm going to remove it from this bowl, but before I do that, let me go ahead and put some flour down on the counter and then get everything from the bowl. I don't want any of my dough to be left behind. Let me set the bowl aside, and then I'm just going to gather. I'm not really kneading at this point. I'm gathering the dough together, okay? So now that it's gathered sufficiently, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of mash it to spread it open. And then I'm going to add some of my butter. It's 7 tablespoons of butter. So now this is kind of kneading, but still I'm just trying to work the butter in. This is one of the more difficult doughs from my book. The hamburger bun, the hot dog bun, the brioche, any kind of bread where you have to add the butter after the fact is going to be more difficult for you to do. So if you're a beginner, you might get scared to do this, but I don't want you to have any type of fear. because this will come back together. You just have to be patient with it, and you will need a bench scraper like I'm using right here so you can scrape everything back together. Now I'm going to press it open again because I need to add the rest of the butter. 4 more tablespoons, guys. This is the same way you make churros. You add the butter after the fact. It's annoying, but I think it does something to the bread to make it lighter, you know? See, it's a hot mess. Definitely not for the faint of heart. If you don't like to handle dough, you're not going to like doing this part. You might want to wear gloves. But if you like to handle dough like I do, just stay here and play with it. Just have fun. You know, it's going to come off of your fingers. You don't have to panic. By the way, in my bread book, I do have a letter from the author where I'm telling you guys these encouraging things, okay? That bread book, I laid it all on the line with that bread book. Man, there's so much unique things in that book. I promise if you want to make bread, that's the book that you want to go to. Not just because I made it, but because I really made it in mind of somebody who doesn't know how to bake. Like I thought about my friend Lisa. Hi, Lisa. And I thought about my daughter Jada when I was making that book, because they really want to learn how to make bread, but they just don't know how to handle dough. And I figured I wanted to talk to that viewer. You know, not so much the advanced people, but if you're advanced, there's some really great breads in here too, like Belizean Creole bread, Belizean Creole bun made with coconut milk. Delicious, guys. And where can you pick up my book? Amazon. And when you pick it up, please leave me a 5-star review, okay? Nothing less, a 5-star review. See how sticky this is? I'm yakking away because I don't want to cut away, because I want you guys to see how long it takes to come back together, and you know how sticky it gets, and to let you know that you can do this. I'm cleaning the flour off of my fingers. And yes, my hands are clean, my fingernails are clean. So let me gather all of my drippings here and just use my little tamales scraper or bench scraper. I think this thing is to make tamales, you know, like Mexican tamales. You kind of smear it into the leaf with this thing. Put some more. And now this is actually kneading, okay? Kneading, kneading. Because I'm going to rock the dough back and forth, fold it in on itself, roll it. See? But you notice it's not as sticky anymore, right? You know what I want to do, guys? I want to do some cooking videos, but I just want to tell stories while the video is rolling. What do you guys think? I'm not going to do it with this one because I really wanted to shout out Jael, and I wanted to explain what I was doing with this bread because this is one of the more difficult breads. But maybe the next video I'll find a story to read or something, or maybe write my own story. I don't know. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about that, okay? You see how this came together, right? See, I'm never going to tell you something is easy when I know that it's not. This has a degree of difficulty. It does take some patience, but I wanted you to see that you can absolutely do this. It will come back together. I didn't cut away. Some people who do cooking videos, they cut away and they do things behind the scene that they don't tell us. Then the stuff comes out great at the end, and then when we make ours, it flops, and then we get frustrated, and then we don't come back and cook anymore. I have a lot of cooking channels that I watch that do that, and I get so frustrated, especially stuff that you see on TikTok. See, that's the recipe from my book. So 1 hour later, it is risen like our Lord. It is risen. So I always say punch it like it owes you money, but I'm not going to punch this one. I'm just going to squeeze it to get out all the air. Take my ring off. And then I'm going to cut this into 8 equal pieces. And the best way to do this is to flatten it out round into a circle. Grab that same bench scraper because I don't want to cut with knives on my beautiful quartz countertop. You know, it took me 20-something years to get a new kitchen, right? So I'm very protective of it. So first of all, cut it in half. Remember our school days, standard 3. What? Grade, is standard 3 grade 5? Yeah, that's where they teach you fractions, right? Or maybe it's sooner, I don't know. So then cut it into half again. So now we're going to have 4 equal pieces. And then we're going to cut each piece in half, which is going to give us 8 equal pieces. You can use a scale. I do have a scale, but I very seldom take it out to use it for stuff like this, because we're just going to eyeball this, and the scale is going to be our hands. Squeeze it. See if they have the same feel, the same size. See, this one feels a little bit bigger, so steal some and put it on the other one. Yeah, they're not going to be like scientifically even, but they're going to be close, okay? So put some flour, form a dome on the top, and then close in the bottom and pinch it shut. And then roll it on the counter in the flour, because it's still sticky. And you don't even need a rolling pin for this, like when we do bagels. You just need the palm of your hand. Squish it to make it flat, because if you don't, it's going to rise the way it was, and it's going to be one big ball. You want it flat to make it into the buns, right? The burger buns. So see the dome, and then fold the bottom in on itself. Work it around, pinch it shut. Now this does take some practice, so if you're new to bread making, you might not go as quickly as I'm going, and your top might not come out as smooth, but you can spend time with it to make it smooth, all right? Squish it, set it aside. Let me grab another one and show you from this camera angle. See? Come on, camera 2. Start pinching the bottom shut. All right? And then you can roll it in the palm of your hands like this. Maybe you find this technique a lot easier than rolling it on the counter. Squish it, set it aside, and we're going to do this for all 8 pieces. I saw a video one time with a little 5-year-old baby rolling 2 pieces of dough with both hands. Now, I can't do that. I can only do one hand at a time. So get some parchment paper. If not, grease your baking sheet. But I love parchment paper when it comes to sticky type of doughs like this. And then just place them an inch or 2 apart. Now we're going to need egg wash. And I started to crack my egg early and separate it, because I'm just going to use the yolk with a little bit of water. But you don't put the egg wash until the dough is risen again. And it's going to take another 40 to 45 minutes to rise. And what I'm going to do to let this rise is just stick it in the oven. The oven is not lit. I'm just trying to get it away from light and draft and all that good stuff. So that's what I'm going to do right here, is stick my tray in the unlit oven. Unlit, okay? You can cover it if you want. You don't have to, because the oven's dark. Now it is risen. And we're going to go ahead and brush that egg yolk with a little bit of water onto each bun. And the oven is coming up to temperature to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. And we're going to bake it for only 20 minutes. That's all we need now is 20 minutes. Look, ooh, that egg yolk though made it look so beautiful. So Josh, Joe, and I made burgers from this today. And it was so awesome. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. And of course, leave me a comment. And go on over to Giles' page. Bye for now.